Ready to go?
We are indeed.
Welcome to the Snowy Valleys Council meeting of the 18th of April 2024. We now have a quorum, so we'll get started. Acknowledgement to country. Snowy Valleys Council proudly acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of this land and water and pay respects to our elders, past and present. We had an opportunity this morning to welcome 8 additional Australians to our cohort in Snowy Valleys Council at a citizenship ceremony this morning, which was very grateful and gratifying to see. So thank you also to those people who applied to be Australian citizens. Live streaming of the council's meetings on the website to allow community to follow council debates and decisions. Members of the public participating agree to have their images, voice and personal information, including names and addresses, recorded and publicly broadcast. Snowy Valleys Council does not accept liability for any defamatory remarks or inappropriate comments that are made during the course of a meeting. Any part of the meeting that is held in closed session will not be live streamed. Councillors are reminded of the oath of affirmation of office they made under section 233A of the Local Government Act of 1993 and the obligations under Council's Code of Conduct to disclose any appropriately manage any conflicts of interest. Please ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or are in the silent mode for the duration of the meeting, and no recording of voice or images is permitted. In the event of an emergency at a council meeting, please evacuate the building using the nearest exit and follow the instructions given by the wardens. Do not use the lift. Participating in the meeting from an alternative venue, please enact the evacuation plan for that location if required. There is no public forum. Acknowledgement of country I have done. Apologies and leave of absence and remote attendance. I believe we have one leave of absence, one apology and the remote attendance of one councillor.
I'll move the request for leave of absence in the first instance.
Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Ivell. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We have an apology from Councillor Livermore. Would someone move the acceptance of that apology? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Ivell. I'll put all those in favour? Against? Carried. And remote attendance, we have Councillor Hughes in attendance by remote video. So, any direct declarations of pecuniary interest?
We should
sorry.
motion on Councillor Hughes.
A motion on
removing remote attendance.
Someone moved that we approve. Councillor Ivell, seconder. Councillor Thompson. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried.
Mr. Mayor, can I just acknowledge that I'm aware that Councillor Armour was endeavouring to Zoom in, so whether or not there's been an issue, but just to acknowledge that she's just not a no-show. There's obviously a reason she's unable to get on at the moment.
We'll endeavour to ascertain what the situation is there, Councillor Thompson. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? If not, we'll move on to the confirmation of the minutes. Ordinary meeting, 21st of March, 2024. Is there a mover? Councillor Thompson. Is there a seconder? Councillor Larter. Any discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Any issues arising? If not, correspondence and petitions. Are there any, Mr. General Manager?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Mayoral minute, there is none. Notices of motion and decision. I believe we have one notice of motion. Is that correct?
Correct, Mr. Mayor.
Would you like to move that notice of motion, councillor Hay?
I would.
Been moved. Is there a seconder? It has been seconded, I believe. Is that correct?
It's
As
on,
per the,
anyway.
that's right. Would you like to commence discussion?
Certainly. The area of the old ambulance station is smack bang in the middle of our sporting precinct. Now, the previous council, when the opportunity arose to relocate the ambulance station because the hospital was being redone, we piggybacked on that and very successfully got a new ambulance station for Tumut, thus leaving the site vacant. Now, as I said, the site is in the middle of our sporting precinct. It's near our passive area, which is the Rotary Park, the swimming pool, basketball stadium, hockey fields, netball courts, and then further on the bull paddock. So the idea that we could write to the local member and see that if we could get the same deal that Wagga got, that is to obtain the station and the land alongside it, which you might have noticed was in the press the other day, would make it would be very good deal for council and a good deal for the community. So I think this is town planning 101, where you try and keep all your sporting infrastructure, or as much of it as possible, in the one place. And as I said earlier, we moved to get the ambulance station removed, not only because it was old and needed updating and there were rats there and the like, but that, it is not an area to have emergency services in the middle of this.
Very good. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
So is Sam seconded the motion, I think?
No,
Sam, have you
councillor
seconded the motion?
Oh, okay.
Very good. Anyone else wish to speak?
I'll say.
Councillor Thompson.
I have major concerns with the idea of council going out to acquire land, which will then require significant funds and planning and issues to go with it. The concern that I have is that we are currently in the middle of talking to our community about nearly a 40% special rate variation on top of a special rate variation we've just done. We don't have funds. We don't have the opportunity or even a plan as to what was going to go there. To start acquiring land that is also going to take significant funding for the demolishing of existing buildings there that in the most likelihood do have asbestos in them, creates a financial issue that council at this point in time just can't afford the luxury of. We can't continue to acquire sections of land to put infrastructure, new infrastructure, not renewal infrastructure, but new infrastructure. Our community is really struggling with the special rate variation that is already being proposed. And here we are looking at asking them to either pay more money, even if we get it for $1, it's going to cost us significantly to do what's required. And at this stage, we don't even have the plans. It's a dream, and it's an expensive dream that I don't know that the majority of people in this community right now would be happy to support.
Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Larder.
Well, as somebody who occupied that building for quite some time, I can say with absolute confidence that the asbestos levels in there are very minimum. In fact, it's bonded asbestos, and it would require very minimal rehabilitation. The buildings are still very sound. In the interim, they could be used for emergency housing. What's occurred in Wagga is a great example of what can be achieved, and it would absolutely make town planning sense to acquire a piece of land and building in a precinct that we surround already with council-owned premises. So it would make complete sense to acquire that building. In fact, there was an undertaking, from my recollection, when I attended that meeting with the former minister and Mayor Hayes at the time, that building would be given back to council for, in the same respect that the Wagga one would. That was the whole understanding of the meeting that I attended anyway. And I don't know how anyone could say that it's going to cost money. I mean, at the end of the day, you wouldn't have to be Albert Einstein to approach one of the real estate agents in town about what the actual value of that property would be worth. It would be well north of 700,000 or 800,000 easily. So I mean, if you could grab it for $1, I mean, even if you turned around and sold it the next day, I mean, that's a windfall for the council. You beauty. Here we go. We've got $750,000 without even having to do anything. So I don't see how we go down this naysay path of, oh, we can't buy this because, it's going to cost us. Well, what's it going to cost us? I mean, it's complete nonsense. I mean, we just always come to this council and we're always, on the negative, never on the positive. This is a real opportunity to come in and get something for next to nothing. The community out there would be saying, yes, you beauty, go ahead, get it for $1. Why wouldn't you take it?
Anyone else wish to speak? You want to close?
Look, as Councillor Lada said, the opportunity to acquire freehold land that you surround, basically, is a rare occurrence. And if we were fortunate enough to be able to acquire it for $1, it would be very worthwhile. And as Councillor Lada said, we could lease it, we could rent it, we could sell it, we could, depending on what provisions the government put on it, we could do that. The other alternative is somebody else buys it, or somebody else builds something on it that then interferes with council's operation, sporting precinct, or whatever. It could go on the open market, and you've got no control, or very little control over that. So I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's very sensible. It was a priority of the last council that wasn't carried on by this council. I think that's a shame. I think the opportunity to acquire it should be taken, at least write to the local member and see whether he can forward. Now, has anyone contacted the local member about this property?
I have.
You have?
Yeah, it's the possibility of acquiring it for the eventuality of a new location for the town fire brigade.
So fire and rescue are looking to...
I'm not sure. I don't know where that's progressing. Just raised the issue with it.
So you did it off your own bat, or this is...
Yeah, I just asked you. And that's why I'm going to propose that we change the wording slightly here to possible. The possibility of acquiring.
Yeah, look, I'm happy with that. I would be very, very disturbed if we moved another emergency service in there. Now, I understand that fire and rescue desperately need a new building.
Mm-hmm. So do I.
They don't have female change rooms and toilets and the like, and it's inappropriately placed in the middle of the main street. Certainly. And the former council, approached the state government to try and get that fixed. We were successful with the ambulance station, as I said. We were less successful with the fire station, but the approach has been made. There is an understanding that the fire and rescue are inappropriately situated.
Yep.
And there is a need to do something. And I think, this council could do something positive there. I would say that putting a fire station in the middle of a sporting precinct is silly. in my.
That's your opinion.
That's my opinion.
That's right.
And look, we could run it past other, other people, like town planners, for example. They might have a
That's
bit of an
right.
idea.
Well,
So I think, I think it's a great opportunity for this community to acquire land.
would you be happy, councillor Hayes, if you put the possibility on?
I'll have to warm my computer up. It's gone to sleep.
He's gone to sleep, has he? Oh, sorry.
We've got
it could be
we've got a possible motion up there, councillor Hayes, that you might want to.
Could be a she. Yep, okay, that's a start.
Councillor Hughes, is he happy with it?
Councillor Hughes, would you be happy with that?
You probably can't see it.
I can't see the
Councillor Hughes?
wording. I can't see the wording,
So I'll read it out to you,
but
councillor
I've
Hughes.
got it written down here.
Oh, okay.
I've got the handwriting here. Is it the same as the scanned in?
No. So what's been suggested is that we change the wording slightly to include the words after government to ascertain the possibility of acquiring the former Tumut ambulance station and associated land. So it's inserting to ascertain the possibility of.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit more political. Yeah, a bit more, gives you a bit more space to maneuver in. There is plenty of eyes on this space, and I think the council needs to have a bit of leadership here. So, yeah, that's fine.
You're happy or not?
That's happy.
Any further debate? I'll put the alternative amendment,
With
No,
the
it's
motion.
fine.
It's the same motion.
It's the
same
motion.
motion, righto, so we're happy with the mover and seconder are happy with that. I'll put the motion, if there's no further debate. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Are you against?
So that's 4-2, you're in favour?
Yep.
4-2. So we got against is councillor Thompson and councillor Hall.
Mr. Mayor, just on the back of that debate that just occurred, is it possible that we could facilitate a motion to the effect of organising a meeting with the Emergency Services Minister, Jihad Dib, in regards to the New South Wales
The
Fire
possibility?
Rescue?
Do you want to move that way?
Well, I'd be happy to move that way. Not that I'm suggesting that should go there, but I think we've raised that as a very important issue, and we should be looking to work with them about a site for the fire brigade.
Is there a seconder? A mover, I should say. We've got a mover, a seconder?
Yeah, happy to second that.
Is that a new?
Yeah, it's a new motion that will read that council seek a meeting with the Minister for Emergency Services
And local member,
and the member for Wagga Wagga regarding the future of the former ambulance site at Tumut.
No, I think
No.
this is in relation to the relocation.
Relocation of the
Of the town fire brigade.
Okay. Righto.
It's called fire and risk.
Been
Second,
moved and seconded. Any further debate on this?
Yeah.
Sorry,
councillor Hayes.
councillor Hayes.
Councillor Hayes.
Moved by councillor Hayes, or seconded by councillor Hayes, moved by councillor Lata.
Just a comment, because I'm the captain of the local fire and rescue, I'll declare an interest and I won't vote.
Very good. Righto, no further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Righto, we've dealt with the, The notice of motion. There's no urgent business without notice, so we'll go to 10.1, which is the de-amalgamation update.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to move the recommendations, but I'd also like to change wording for point number 3 so that it now reads that Snowy Valleys Council make representation to the Minister for Local Government, the Honourable Ron Honig, MP, to defer the 2024 local government elections for Snowy Valleys Council. So
Right. Fair enough. Is there a
so
second?
that's point 3.
Seconded by councillor Ivel.
I'll speak to
Do
them.
we need to, if I could just ask by way of clarification, do we need to nominate a period of time, or are we just going to leave it
No.
open?
I don't think it needs
Right,
a.
okay, very good. Councillor Thompson?
I move this, or this is the reason that I'd like the point 3 made, is that with the current state of the process for de-amalgamation or the de-amalgamation process, we don't even meet with the Boundaries Commission until the end of May. By the time the Boundaries Commission then comes back with a determination that they send to the Minister, we're looking at possibly August. It's incredibly difficult to, one, encourage people to either nominate for local government elections in September or even have an understanding of what they're nominating for. And I think, in all fairness, the Minister needs to understand that in order for us to have a fair democratic process going forward, we need to be able to work through and have an understanding of what it is that this either one merged council continues or that we then have 2 separate entities. So that's why, in my opinion, I think that we are better off to continue with the current council until we understand the full extent of what the process is going to end up being.
Very good, thank you. Any other comments that anyone wishes to make?
Yeah.
Councillor Hayes.
I'd say the community's, had enough time to make a decision about this council and the next, and we shouldn't be seeking to defer the elections.
Anyone else wish to make a comment? Councillor Larder?
I'd agree with councillor Hayes. I think when you're elected to council, I mean, there's any number of hand grenades get thrown in from time to time. You just have to deal with them. I think to withhold an election based on something that may never occur is silly. And I think people have got the right and should have the opportunity to vote in or out people in the elected timeframe, and to go outside of that, to me, seems to be self-indulgent. I wouldn't support it.
Very good. Anybody else wish to make a comment? If not,
Look, only to say, we didn't, when we were elected last time, we didn't know we were going to have fires, we didn't know we were going to have COVID, we didn't know we were going to have flood. Now, COVID did delay it, and that was for a reason. But you can't just be delaying elections just because. I think, people know what they're getting in for. I think it's set, like the elections are on the
Very good.
election.
So, Mr Mayor, then we'll need to probably deal with these in separate. Otherwise, if we vote against it and we lose all of them.
You want to fragment them into 1, 2 and 3 components?
Mr. Mayor, I'll just
I'll deal
take
with
out number 3
it.
and put it somewhere else. I'll separate number 3 off. The other 2 are fine.
Can we really vote to ask to stay in?
Yeah, they've deferred them on many occasions before. Right?
And that's through council asking for it.
Well, there have been occasions when the council has asked, right? However, look, to deal with them one at a time, I think would be,
The other option is administration, is it? or elections.
well, not necessarily. Where's the administration suggestion? There's no suggestion in here for an administrator.
But that's another option. Though.
Well, that's right. It's up to the minister. He can do what he likes.
Maybe we
Local
should put
government
that
is
in
a
there as
creature of the state. I'm sure you're aware of that, Councillor Hayes, right? Anyway, you can, I'll ask council for guidance. Do you want to deal with them one at a time, or do you want to deal with it as a,
Well, we need to, otherwise we have 2 points there that need to be raised and need to be voted on, and the third point also needs, but if we lose all 3 because they're linked together,
That one is-
then we can't.
I'll deal with them one at a time?
So I'll move that we deal
Deal
with them
with-
separately.
Okay, moved by councillor Thompson, seconded by councillor Ivel. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We'll deal with item 1. Note the report and endorse the action
Sorry, so that was to deal with them separately?
separately.
Sorry.
Right.
Yes.
So I'll put that motion. I assume, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Against? All those in favour? Against? Carried.
Who's against?
Councillor
Hayes.
Hayes and the councillor, hang on, sorry.
Yeah, councillor Hayes and councillor Lata are against.
Uh,
Where do you stand, councillor Hughes?
Time for it. Yep.
Oh, right.
Number one.
Okay. Number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, approve the funding from, what's the name? I'll put that,
No,
sorry, number 2.
no, the first vote was that we deal with them separately.
no, we've done that.
We've done that.
We've done
Okay.
one.
We've
Righto.
done 1. We're doing with 2.
Yep.
Right.
And it's the one.
All those in favour?
One is-
Against?
No.
Carried.
Okay,
Item
hang on,
3.
hang on a
This
second.
way.
So, just hang on a second. So who moved and seconded that particular item?
I thought, sorry.
Approve the funding?
I'll have a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by councillor Ivel, seconded by councillor Thompson, no? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Mover and seconder for item 3. Councillor Thompson,
Still move it in there.
councillor Ivel. Any debate? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Against? Are you against, councillor Hughes?
I'm good.
Right. Carried. Right. Right.
Just hang on a second, Mr Mayor. It was moved by councillor. Who moved that last motion?
Councillor Thompson, councillor Ivel.
Councillor Thompson, councillor Ivel. So 4 was, or against was councillor Hayes and councillor Lana.
Yep.
Got that one?
That was unanimous.
Oh, 10-2. We right to go, Mr. General Manager?
Can we just check on item 2? Was item 2 unanimous, or did you vote against item 2?
Councillor Lada
Councillor
voted
Lard
against item 2.
Councillor Hayes, did you vote in favour of item 2? Or
He did.
Yes, okay, so it's only councillor Roddick.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
10.2, Australian Local Government Association, proposed motions. Is there a mover? Councillor Ivel, seconder? Councillor Thompson. Any debate? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. 10.3, annual leave. Is there a mover?
Might
Sorry.
move this with,
Councillor Ivel, seconded by councillor Thompson. Councillor Thompson,
with the permission of the mover or the agreement with, can we have that it says with the 10 consecutive working days, not otherwise, if you have,
It probably doesn't work on the weekend.
no, but it means if he has 2 weeks off, even with a
Sometimes.
week in the middle. Or it means that if he has 4 lots of leave, then it doesn't work. So I think it needs to be, if it's for an extended period of time.
I'm fine with that.
Thank you.
happy, mover and seconder, happy?
Yep.
Any further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. 10.4, Audit Risk and Improvement Committee Annual Report. Is there a mover?
Yep.
Moved by councillor Hayes, seconded by councillor Lara. No debate.
And-
Sorry, do you wish to?
That's why I moved it. Look, I just think the idea of excluding councillors from voting delegates on audit risk and improvement committees
That's the next.
needs greater scrutiny, I think. I think there's a place for them. And I'm not sure what the idea of just getting external people to sit and vote on audit improvement committees. Mr. Mayor, I know you were an external member for a while and
A short period of time, if I
Well-
remember correctly.
yes, but that was your choice to leave. But you know, I'm not sure, you know, in communities whether we'll actually be able to find the right people to sit on these committees. So I'm just not sure whether it's the right thing, and I just wanted to let the other councillors know and let the community know that I'm concerned.
I think I understand where your concern's coming from, and I share the same concern, councillor Hayes. I do think that probably it's an item that we should refer to 10.5, which is the reference and internal audit charter that we need to talk about. But anyone else wish to make a comment? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, carried. We'll deal with 10.5 now, which is the terms of reference, and I agree with.
I'll move.
Been moved by councillor Thompson, seconded. Councillor Ivel. I do believe that it's an issue that it's all very well to talk about impartiality and the fact that the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee should remain totally removed from any influence by council. But I think the fact that in my opinion, they've gone one step too far. However, anybody else have a comment that wish to make?
I'd like to
Councillor
speak to the
Thompson.
motion. The reason I wanted to speak in relation to this is having discussed the issue with councillor Ham, who has been granted leave of absence today. And councillor Ham was actually one of council's delegates on the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. And I think that what we need to understand is that the decision to remove council delegates or voting delegates from the ARIC committee is actually something that has been implemented by the Office of Local Government. This is not something that we as a council have voted on. And councillor Ham feels very strongly about the fact that council should have elected representation, at least to be in the room and to be a part of that. So while we've got the audit risk terms and reference here, we can't go contrary to the Office of Local Government, but we can express our views that we don't agree with them.
Any further comment? So having said that, it says here, adopt the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee terms of reference, adopt the internal audit charter. Do we wish to indicate that they're by way of 3, or are the 2 appropriate if we have an objection to what's being proposed?
There's nothing to stop you from putting a third point in there.
Right.
Mr. Mayor,
Does someone wish to remove a 3rd point or not? If not,
Well, why can't we just move a motion to ask the local government to
reconsider.
allow that? I mean, just ask them to change the election dates. I mean, surely that isn't a bridge too far.
So we might, as a point 3 or a separate motion, have something along the lines of that council will write to the Minister of Local Government and the Office of Local Government requesting that
The terms of reference be
requesting that
revisited.
an elected member be a voting member of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee.
Are we all happy with that?
I'm happy to include that.
Mover,
point.
second to have point 3 included. Further debate?
And or 2.
Well, the ideal would be 2, but a minimum should be 1. So are we going to be definitive or just?
Well, it shouldn't it say elected members retain the ability to vote?
Yep.
Because there's only two of them.
Yep, only two, yeah.
Righto.
Righto.
Elected members retain the ability to be voting members. Elected members retain the ability to be voting
Members of
members of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee.
If I'm happy with that,
members
So the
happy
mayor
with-
sits on the audit risk and
as an
Improvement
observer.
Committee.
as an
as an
observer.
observer, a non-voting observer.
Well, I imagine
No,
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 not
no,
anymore.
that's not the case now.
that's not being suggested now.
So there's
No.
one councillor
Yeah.
who's
Voting
But now,
voting
currently,
cannot be the-
currently.
Oh, currently,
Currently,
yes, that's correct.
as an
Yeah.
observer.
Yeah, two voting members and the mayor as an observer. Yeah.
Righto, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, against, carried. 10 point,
Yes, I think that was unanimous.
10.6, New South Wales Destination and Visitor Economy Conference.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move this, and I attended this last year and I had every intention of attending it this year. Now, in between the last three times the table of expenditure has been published, between the third last one and the second last one, my funds evaporated and I didn't go anywhere. So I wondered how that happened.
All right, so we have, did you want me to speak to this? Yes, yeah. So we have had a look at this, Councillor Hayes. So rightly or wrongly, as the table's been prepared here today, it is allocated the cost of attending the local government conference to you.
Oh, I have to pay for that. I filled in
I know, I know.
and I didn't have to go.
No, I know. So look, but I'm just telling you how the table's been prepared. So you're actually a fill-in for a fill-in, I think, for that conference. So look, it's a matter, and you're right. If those costs were reversed, then you would have the funds to attend this conference. So it's a matter for council if they're happy for that to occur.
Well, you know, I
There are-
just don't think I should be, well, and punished is probably the wrong.
unduly penalised.
Unduly penalised, thanks, for helping out.
Well, there are certainly other votes where we could fund that particular
And I may not
conference cost.
attend all of it, but I certainly like to, you know, given that we went last year and we assisted the process of getting it to Wagga, yeah.
Consistency of approach, is that what you're suggesting?
Well,
Yeah,
no, a variation, maybe.
yeah, look, I hear what you're saying, Councillor Hughes and
Hayes.
Councillor Hayes.
That's him over there.
Yeah, that's right. And I said, look, there are other unexpended allocations within the governance area that we could transfer those costs to. So it's really a matter for councillors to whether they're, of a mind to approve the attendance of Councillor Ham and Councillor Hayes at that conference.
So registering in.
You want me to, should I leave the room?
Oh, I don't think it's a
I
conflict.
don't
I don't think it's
think-
a
I don't
conflict.
think that's a
I don't think it's
necessity.
Sure.
pecuniary interest.
I don't even care if you.
Can I ask a
look at it.
question, Mr. Mayor? Through you, sir, to the general manager. Is it possible to transfer unused funds from other councillors to councillors so they can attend those?
Well, that's another option.
I'm quite happy. to
I'm quite prepared to
use some of my
Whatever the cost is, take it out of my
unallocated funds.
Right.
Okay.
if that's doable.
Yep. Sorry.
Can I just ask that, why is the practice of, I mean, if the conference is booked in a councillor's name and, there's the early bird registration and all that sort of stuff and you can't get out of it, and then those funds should be attributed to whoever it was booked in the name of in the first place. Why are we doing that? So that it's,
So what you're saying is that the original nominee
that's right.
incurred the expense.
If I nominated and I
filled in.
couldn't go, well, it's bad luck. It comes out of my funds.
Can I,
I can't see a problem with that, but then again,
No.
I'm not.
We just need to get, I don't know whether this has occurred before, and
Yeah.
Yeah, go for your life.
not sure whether this has occurred before, Councillor Larder, but Kristen come to me about it and we scratched our heads for a while and well, I think after you asked the
Yeah, I
question
went.
the last couple of times we looked at it and that's when she's brought it to me. And I've said, well, hopefully we'll sort it out at the meeting. So hopefully we'll sort it out at the meeting and if
Can
the
I-
decision's made that it's the original person.
Stations with that.
Can I just
Councillor
say
Thompson.
I don't have an issue with the conference costs being taken from my training budget.
Hmm.
But I gave enough notice that if need be, we could have cancelled the accommodation and not had to have paid for that. So the difference is that the conference cost would have been there irrespective, but not necessarily the accommodation, because I gave notice in enough time. A second councillor then said that they would go, which is why it wasn't cancelled. And then that councillor was unable to make it. So I'm happy for the cost of the conference to come out of my training budget.
Well, I think
So-
we've had a couple of councillors offer to
Yeah.
to provide some of their training budget.
Absolutely.
So it's really a matter for council. It can be funded.
Look, I think we need to set a policy, a rough policy here that says if you book in to attend a conference and you cannot attend and someone else attends in your place, you bear the cost.
You got it.
And I think that's fair and reasonable. Getting back to the accommodation, that's a different issue, right? The
Yeah.
person going bears the cost of accommodation.
It wasn't
The
that
cost of the
anyway.
conference,
It was okay, but it wasn't.
sorry?
But I also think,
What's in that
we-
place?
yeah, I also think we need to have the ability, if councillors aren't going to use all their allocated training funds,
To allocate them
that
to
they
others.
can
Yeah,
allocate to
I
other
couldn't agree
councillors
with you
who
more.
may want to attend.
For the youth
Fine.
training.
So look, how about
you.
we?
Look, how about you develop that a little further?
Oh, right. And you want me to bring something back?
Well, we leave it up to
You
Dylan.
do realise we've only moved it, we haven't
Yeah,
seconded.
that's right. So what I was
No,
going to say
that's
is,
right.
how about we deal with the motion
Because
that's
then
been
that's-
moved by councillor Hayes or whoever else wants to move it, and the seconder.
Well, someone else should move it. Councillor
Yeah.
Hayes has indicated a
Yeah,
desire
but
to
You
council-
can
attend.
move it.
Councillor Idle,
Righto. Councillor Ivel, you're moving Councillor Hayes?
Yes,
But it
Yes,
needs
right.
to
Seconded.
include,
seconded councillor Ivel. That approve the attendance of councillor Ham and councillor
Councillor
Hayes.
Hayes.
Top line. Oh,
Anyway, it's covered in item 2, approve the attendance of any other councillor wishing to attend.
Yeah, we can get rid of that.
who it
We've
is.
nominated who it is, righto? So,
two can come out.
no, Councillor
I
Hyde,
haven't got it's not a question, it's just something for future
consideration.
reference it's obviously we need to have a discussion as to how this is going to work in the future, whether allocation of training funds for councillors works. So we've got it in black and white.
No further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. 10.7, extraordinary meeting. Any comments?
I'll move
Move.
I'll
Councillor
move the
Thompson.
motion with the inclusion of that the meeting be held on Thursday, the 2nd of May, 2024 at 2 p.m. in the Riverina Highlands building.
2 p.m.
So that for the purpose of giving public notice, it's identifying the time and the location as well as the date of the meeting.
Very good. No further
Thank you.
discussion?
Seconder.
Move. Second by Councillor Ivel. Any debate? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. 10.8, statement of investments. Good to see that all our investments are being appropriately utilised and generating, I would hope, an appropriate level of return. Any comments? Note the report. Mover. Councillor Larder, seconder. Councillor Thompson, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Ten nine, is it?
7.1.
11.1.
11.1. Reconciliation Action Plan update. There's a recommendation there. Is someone move? Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Idle. Any comments regarding the action plan? Anybody got any comments they wish to make?
I'd just like to make the comment that we obviously still have a deal of work to do in relation to getting our plan being implemented. And I noticed that one of the issues is that they're endeavouring to try and recruit or attract some more members for the First Nations Liaison Committee. So there's some interesting, I'd encourage people to actually go through and read the report. There are some really interesting points throughout. Yeah.
Councillor Arter, do you have a comment you wish to make?
Well, yeah, I just wouldn't necessarily be adopting all this stuff. I mean, we just seem to be going round and round in circles, spending money. I mean, we had a referendum not so long back that the overwhelming majority of Australians voted for one inclusive Australia. And I mean, I just think it's ridiculous that councils keep getting involved in all this unnecessary fanfare and division creating. You know, by all means, you know, we have to acknowledge and you know, develop an inclusive Australia policy. But I mean, we go to wait with all this stuff. Every 5 seconds, we're doing a welcome to country. You know, like, I was born here. I mean, I can't understand why we keep welcoming ourselves to our own country. It's completely mad. I think this whole thing needs to be reviewed. You know, people aren't interested in this, really. I mean, they just want people to stop being divisive. Let's get on with being Australia. Everyone's part of this country. No division. You know, let's just move forward and stop all this back of house nonsense.
I hear what you're saying. However, this is about reconciliation, and obviously there are sections of the community out there that feel that this is a necessary process to go through. And you know, we could have a long and protracted debate about that, the relevance of those comments, but I think we need to deal with the reconciliation action plan. And I think Councillor Thompson has hit the nail on the head. There seems to be whilst it's an issue, there seems to be a lack of being able to garner people to the process in going about it. So
I'd like to close debate with a comment. Thanks.
Councillor Thompson.
This isn't something that Snowy Valleys Council has decided to do, and it's not the only organisation that is endeavouring to show a level of respect to our First Nations people. I make no apologies for acknowledgement of countries, and in the appropriate places where there are welcome to country, it's, in my opinion, no different to somebody knocking on your front door and you welcoming them into your home. We as a local government entity do not need to be divisive in our community in how we treat everybody else. We had a citizenship, or we had 8 citizenship ceremonies this morning. And we sing our national anthem with pride, and we sing together as one. But in order for us to truly understand how we're going to progress forward as a nation and build on our 60,000 years of continuous living culture, we can't do that without a level of respect being shown to the very First Nations people who were here. This isn't about trying to divide a community. This, in my opinion, is working to bring everybody together and to actually reconcile with each other and have a level of respect and understanding. And so I don't think it's woke, and I don't think it's a waste of time and money. I think it's something that other levels of government have actually asked us to do in order for us to move forward and to remove that hatred that comes from people feeling that they're having something taken away from them. So with that, I close debate on this.
Put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Right.
So
Item 12. Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting minutes. Moved by Councillor Hayes. Is there a second? Councillor Larder. No further debate. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. 12.2 Local Traffic Committee.
Yeah, moved.
Moved, seconded. Anyone wish to comment? Moved by councillor Hayes, seconded by councillor Ivan. I do have a comment I'd like to make. I notice here that the request for the parking limits in Tumbarumba deal with inquiring as to whether 50% of the majority of people support the changes. And if you are going to canvass the people who actually park in the main street as to whether they'd like to continue to do so, I don't believe that's necessarily achieving the objective. So if someone could clarify for me what that actually.
I'm sorry, I can't. It may be something from Transport for New South Wales, but I don't recall that. Yeah, I don't recall that discussion.
Well, I can't comment as I wasn't there, but I just find it amazing that it's a bit like asking the cat if it swallowed the canary. I just find that, well, I won't say incomprehensible, but close to it, that you're going to ask the people that are causing the problem in the street as to whether they wish to continue to do so. Anyway, I'm opposed to that recommendation.
Do you want to say something?
Agenda, Tumbarumba parking list, it says that it was agreed by the committee that the time limit is up to council as the regulatory authority, and the nomination of the hour limitation would need to be set by council.
Right, if you wish to comment.
Yeah, look, I'd only through
Mitchell?
you, General Manager, to the Mayor. I'd only like to comment that I think the intent of this is that there is a survey done beforehand to gain an understanding of who's supportive of this. And yes, maybe the shop owners who have vested interest here will come out with an opinion on it, but I think it's normal practice and normal process that we do have to do a survey. And generally with the surveys, if you receive more than 50% support for the changes, then that's what's adopted. But that doesn't stop council from, when this comes back after the survey's been completed, to also make a decision on the changes. But this is just normal practice of surveying. When you do parking restriction change in an area, those people who are impacted.
Very good. Anybody else got a comment? If not, I'll put the recommendation. Councillor Thompson.
Can I just say, with all due respect, Mr. Mitchell, the issue is that point B does actually say if 50% majority support the changes. So the fact that that's in there says that if they don't support it, it won't be happening. The word "if" implies that it'll only happen with the support of 50%.
Yes, yeah, but it still doesn't stop when we bring the survey results back from council, that council can change
Thank you.
parking restrictions to what.
Very good. No further debate. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Write me down as opposed. 12-3.
No, it wasn't unanimous.
Yes.
The Mayor was against it.
2-3, the minutes, 12-3, I should say, minutes of the Aerodrome Committee.
I'll move
Is there a
that.
mover?
Yep.
Moved by councillor Hayes. Is there a seconder? Councillor Larder. Any debate?
Yeah, a couple of things. I see number one, new committee member nomination. Did we actually advertise for nominations, or is this just a shoulder tap? The second one is compulsory land acquisitions at the airport. The Director of Infrastructure and Works stated that the compulsory acquisition process for land to the north of the runway had now ceased. I didn't think that was the option. Was it? I thought we were keeping that option open.
Yeah.
Anyone wish to answer that?
And
Yeah.
and then I've got a third one after that that's not here.
The nomination, through you, General Manager, the nomination of Glenys Frank, committee member, was received via an application that she made. to the committee via council's website, which the application's on the website. So that application was sent round to the committee members before this meeting to see if there was any issues with that member being nominated, and we didn't receive any responses or any issues. We did receive responses in favour, but we didn't get responses from all the committee members. In terms of the acquisition question to the north, yes, we've temporarily ceased that process now, but as per the previous resolution of council, the process to acquire those properties going forward in another iteration is still open. So we're not going against the resolution of council of December 2023. It's only for now that we've stopped the acquisition process until such time, as per that resolution of council, that we receive funding or more funding to do a further expansion of the runway at the aerodrome.
Next item, councillor Hayes.
That's my understanding as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So the next item was the weather station there, and I spoke to the general manager at one stage about this. Where are we up to with the weather station?
Sorry, are you talking about the windsock? or the-
No,
the
not a
weather
windsock.
station.
A little bit more up market than the windsock.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any issues around the weather station.
Yeah, well, councillor Hayes did raise the issue with me that he was of the view that that perhaps the responsibility of the weather station should be included in the heads of agreement. And with the RFS responsible. But at this point in time, we haven't got a signed heads of agreement, so there still is the opportunity for that to be
Included?
for that to be included if that's the desire of council.
Yeah, because there was some suggestion about a weather station out there.
I thought I read somewhere about
It was
weather station
$20,000.
Yeah. Anyhow, maybe we can do a little bit more research on the weather station.
I thought there was funding for it at some stage, but I can't recollect
Because I've got
where
a
I
list of
saw
all weather
that.
stations in New South.
Can you know anything about it, councillor? Weather station?
The weather station was something that the RFS were investigating on their behalf. It was something that under the more exuberant option with regard to the instrument approach, that it was a requirement. But because we didn't opt for that, then it wasn't
Necessity.
something that was absolutely substantiated. But so hopefully that clarifies that one. I'll just in regard to, if I may, Mr. Mayor, just further on councillor Hayes's points, if I.
Yeah, go on, councillor.
Just the acquisition of the land. My understanding of the intent of the motion that we adopted was that we would continue to try and allocate that land to council, so that we could progress the future substantiation of that instrument approach and the lengthening of the runway when money became available. The issue is it's sort of cart before the horse. I mean, unless we have that land and it's acquired and ready to go, I think it's going to be very difficult to apply for any grant funding for something we don't have control over. And that's why we opted to continue with that in that motion. That was the intent of it.
I think you're correct. However, the issue was that we need all the money that we have to carry out option 3, and that didn't provide funding to continue with the acquisition of the land. Now, I think you're correct. I think if the intent is to further develop the runway into the future, you've obviously got to have access to the land. But to do that, you've got to have access to the money. So you're dead right. Which comes first, the cart or the horse?
Well, then we need to acquire some money from somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, just through you, General Manager, the Mayor, the resolution of 14 December was subject to further funding, undertake works towards acquiring additional land for the extension of the runway.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and
that
that's correct.
still is the
But,
intent.
yeah,
So
I
funding
take
has
on
to
board
come first.
councillor Larder's comment that, if it's the intent at some point for Snowy Valleys Council or Tumut Council, whoever it happens to be into the future, is to continue the development of the airstrip, we've got to acquire the land. To do that, we've got to have money. At present, we've made a decision, correct me if I'm wrong, to proceed with option 3,
Right.
and it'll take every last penny we've got to achieve that objective.
Correct, but in the meantime, we can be applying for grants.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you.
We shouldn't.
We haven't written it off.
No,
That's right.
no, and I think, and there's a lot of pressure from organisations to get that airport. done.
There is some pressure.
There's a lot of pressure.
Very good. Righto. Councillor Larder.
Just on a second point, I won't be seconding the motion if it remains as is there, because in point 2, I've got a real issue with this, because there was never a vacancy on the Tumut Aerodrome Committee. Those committees are long-standing, and they've been advertised and filled. As casual vacancies come available from time to time, we would advertise, but there was no vacancy from my understanding, and I've got to say I was a bit taken aback when Glenys Francis attended the Aerodrome Committee as an observer, but then participated extensively in the meeting as an observer, which I was not comfortable with, and I don't think that's fair to the other participants of that Aerodrome Committee meeting. And I said at the time to Mr. Mitchell that it was my understanding that that would have to be a decision of the council to decide whether we needed or would go out to expressions of interest to the public, because you can't just tap somebody on the shoulder. You have to be fair and equitable to the entire community. If there is a vacancy, and I don't think there is a vacancy, but if we decide there is a vacancy, then that should be advertised and everyone should have the option to apply.
Councillor Thompson.
This is a really interesting point. My understanding is that there's the opportunity for 12 members on the Aerodrome Committee. And I don't expect anyone to have the answer. There have been so many in-court meetings of the Aerodrome Committee over the last few years that you go through the minutes of the Aerodrome Committee meetings, and the majority of them have been in court, and therefore they have notes, not minutes. They can't do resolutions, so they have discussion. If we start looking at trying to discourage people from being a part of council committees when, one, the terms of reference clearly state that there can be 12 members, and I don't think that there are currently 12 members on the books. If you don't attend the meetings on a regular basis, how many meetings do you miss before you're actually not considered to be on membership anymore? And if we have somebody who actually lives out there, is knowledgeable and interested, why are we turning these people away? The Aerodrome Committee has had more in-court meetings in the last 3 years than probably the majority of other committees, except for one that I can think of that I won't mention. So my understanding is, why on earth are we knocking or even considering not accepting a nomination for a committee member when the committee obviously needs it because it hasn't been able to form quorum for so many times?
Because you promised to be transparent,
Well,
and transparency would say that you go out.
this is appalling.
And look, I mean, it's all well and good for those remarks to be made, but they need to be backed up. Have the facts. I mean, the problem is with the council meetings across the board is that the requirements for the meeting is 50% plus 1, I think. Now, I mean, adding to the numbers doesn't necessarily improve your
Well, it gives you a
problem,
greater option.
because
Someone's interested.
this is the well, look, there's other people interested as well, Councillor Thompson.
look,
So what do? You say they're excluded?
No, they go online and they actually put an application.
There
in.
wasn't a vacancy, so you can't
There
do
are
that.
vacant.
There isn't a vacancy.
12 positions.
Well, let's
Should have advertised them.
should have advertised it. You can't just,
I disagree.
Oh, well, that's not transparent.
Look, I hear what
This
you're
is a personal
saying.
vendetta.
In my opinion,
personal vendetta. Point of order,
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, that is
I
inappropriate.
withdraw.
Well, you can't just withdraw that. That's defamatory. Absolutely disgraceful.
as far as I'm concerned, the council has two options. It has the prerogative to appoint someone to the committee, or alternatively, it has the prerogative to call for vacancies. And I think that, to be quite honest, I think the most appropriate action is, if there's not 12 members of the committee, is to put an advertisement in the paper indicating that we are calling for expressions of interest to be members of the committee.
Well, I think you need to review every other committee that.
That's
we
fine.
hold.
I don't have
If
a
they're not
problem
up
with
to
that,
The numbers,
Councillor Layard.
you advertise for every one of them.
Well, I would have thought that was the normal procedure. The only people you don't have to advertise is appointees of council or to a particular count.
Well, I think it's unfortunate that, the Aerodrome Committee has been absolutely magnificent over the past 2 years in relation to what's been going on. It hasn't been, without representation as has been, made out. It's not right, and I think that's very disingenuous to say that without presenting facts.
Anyway,
Can I just add to my third point, which was the weather station? The reason I mentioned that was in the coronial inquiry into the Black Summer bushfires, there was mention of weather stations.
so that they could appropriately manage the situation adjacent to where they were
I think
operating.
so. I think
Shock horror.
it'd be very important to get that, and to also be on the front foot with it, and have you, see whether you can add that to the heads.
So what you're suggesting, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that we explore the potential options that exist with the installation of the weather.
Installation of
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Third point.
Is that a third point of the motion, Mr. Mayor?
That's the third point of the motion.
Councillor
It-
Wright.
That council explore, opportunities for a weather station at the Tumut Aerodrome. That's probably all we need to have at the moment.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there is no weather station at the Tumut Airport. I just checked.
No, there isn't. Righto, so now
Windsock.
we have the mover and the seconder. The
I've got-
seconder has indicated,
I've got one more question, Mr. Mayor.
councillor Idle.
Expenditure income, point 10, 22-23, we earned quite a substantial amount of income.
Through you, General Manager, that's a typo. The table, unfortunately just got formatted wrongly. It's the number above 18,033 is the income for that year. It's not the 66,000. It's a typo.
Thank you.
You did raise that previously. Righto. So now we've got a bit of a dilemma, because the original mover and seconder, the seconder has indicated that they're not going to support option 2. Right, so now, do we want to deal with them one at a time?
Yeah, please.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I don't know that was actually what was moved to begin with.
Well, the recommendation was
It's
moved.
just ended up there.
It was
No,
moved.
it's part of the business paper,
Well,
so.
where does it say
Option
that?
2, endorse the application of Glenys Francis to become a member of the Aerodrome Committee.
No, we're going to.
Where does it say that in there?
In your
In
recommendation.
the recommendations,
Endorse the application of Glenys Francis to become.
item 1,
Where in the?
note the minutes of the Tumut Aerodrome Committee, recommendations.
Okay.
Well, I'd be happy if that was changed to advertise.
Mover,
Yeah, happy with that. Just advertise.
so the mover and the seconder are happy to have,
Well, we'd have to have two
Item.
big applications
Seek applications.
That's right.
to become a member.
For additional members of the Aerodrome Committee.
Hmm.
Up to the advertised charter.
Oh, we can't go beyond that anyway, so.
No.
Yeah.
Can I seek a point of clarification,
You
please?
can.
Yeah, that's probably all right.
I understand that when a committee has its meetings, it presents recommendations to council which come to us. My understanding is that the people at that Aerodrome Committee endorsed the application. Is that correct, Mr Mitchell?
We sent the application around to committee members asking if anyone had an issue with it. And as I said, we got responses back in favour. I didn't get any responses back not in
Negative.
favour.
So this has come from that committee meeting
Yes,
to endorse this application.
yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Arthur.
And can I just add that is completely wrong, and it's not transparent, because there is nothing wrong with somebody putting forward an application. I'm not disregarding that. But the due process for this council is to be transparent and to be giving everyone the opportunity if a position becomes available on a committee. If there's a casual vacancy, then that's fair enough. Those committee members would not have understood the charter or policy of this council with regard to that. And they were essentially being asked via an email whether anyone would have any objection to somebody being added. There could have been half a dozen people and they wouldn't have had any objection. So, I mean, I made it very clear at the meeting that that wasn't the process, and there was no resolution, absolutely no resolution at that meeting in regard to that. It did not occur. That's not right.
Righto, look, we could argue the point about this for some period of time. To be transparent and consistent, I believe we should advertise for members of the Aerodrome Committee. What's the tenure of the Aerodrome Committee members?
It's the length of the council
Term.
term.
Righto, okay, so in that case, how many members are there of formal members of the Aerodrome Committee? Someone tell me that?
12 is the maximum.
No, formal members
How
in
many are
existence
there?
at this
At the
point in
moment?
time.
One,
I'll
two,
find
three,
out.
four,
Yeah, they're listed in there.
5, 6, 7.
So there are five.
Seven excluding councillor Lara, who's
Yep.
councillor representative.
And councillor Ivan.
We're
Councillor Ivan.
entitled to 12. No, you're not.
No, I didn't count.
No, we're both on there equal.
Both on the committee.
As,
Sorry, both of you?
Yep.
Both, that's
Yeah.
fine. Now, so
hang on.
does
hang on.
that comprise, council
One,
delegates
two,
comprise the
three,
12 members?
5,
Yeah.
6,
They do.
7, 8,
So, and we've
Nine.
got 7,
9.
9, so there are 3 vacancies. So let's advertise for the 3 vacancies on the Aero Committee. and
That's it.
so-
Well, let's get clarification as to how many. I think there is more than that.
But you're-
Well, there was, sorry, there was, assuming councillor Ival's on the list, there was.
You can't just go off whoever attended the last meeting. I mean, because, we have to
Well,
look at the list.
that was the question I asked, is how many formal members?
Well, there must be
are
a
there
formal
on
list.
the
You can't go off the last attendant.
2,
Right.
3. Can I?
Well, we'll
just-
need to find that out.
Can I-
Just say as a point of interest, the meeting in June of last year, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And prior to that, they'd been in court, and so the minutes or they weren't minutes that were accepted, they were actually notes. So if we accept Glenys Francis's application, we can advertise for the other positions, because the other thing is each time we have it, do people have to renominate for their position on the aerodrome?
And we're
Can I just say,
advertising
look, there
for
is a
3
lot-
vacancies, assuming that that's correct.
There is a lot more to this than just, there are people have to submit, declarations of interest. There's a lot of considerations for the council. That's why it needs to come to us as a package so that council can consider it. That's why on the sale yards committee meeting, there was always a limit put on residents that could be on the committee, because otherwise it would be out of balance. So you have to be, mindful of what that balance makes up, so that you get fair and equitable outcome for the community.
Mr. Director of Infrastructure, is there a charter for the aerodrome?
Yes.
Yes.
In terms of,
Can you be good enough to obtain it for me?
Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Mayor,
Preferably, if possible.
could I suggest that,
Why don't we just defer this and move on?
could I suggest that we contact Glenys Francis, tell her what the outcome is, tell her there's going to be a re-election and she's quite,
We're gonna seek applications.
yes, and she can go through that process
That's right.
and it's done formally.
But I would say that it would be reasonable to accept her current application as an application.
Yes.
Yep.
Need not reapply.
Yes.
She need not
She,
reapply.
That's
she
right.
need not reapply, but we'll seek other applications as
Expressions of
well, and then
interest,
they'll
that's right.
all be presented to council for consideration.
Given Glenys's training, I think she'll understand that perfectly.
Sorry, through you, Mayor Jane, in terms of the charter to the committee, if you go into the actual minute,
I think that's all right.
there's an explanation there about membership, and that was put in the minutes. As Councillor Larda said, there was a question raised at the meeting about what's the process. So the minutes, the actual minutes which are attached to the report, if you go to item 3,
Yeah,
there's an extract which says committee membership is open to all residents or ratepayers of the committee. It goes on, it's because it's quite detailed. It's an extract from the actual committee membership manual. And committee membership nominations is generally via an expression of interest from members of the community, which was the application we got from Glenys. For advisory committees, vacancies may be advertised and expressions of interest sought. If more nominees are interested in joining a committee than there are vacancies, then current members will vote to decide who will become the nominee to council to be a member. This must be recorded in the minutes. So there isn't more members than
positions.
than positions. And then committees are responsible for making a recommendation to council for the appointment of members. Completed membership nomination forms are to be completed and attached to the meeting minutes that are reported to council. That is probably an oversight because the actual application form should have been attached to these minutes, but the application form was sent to all committee members. The completed application form.
So in accordance with this charter, the application is a valid application.
I believe it is. I could be wrong. The only question is whether it should have been advertised via an expression of interest.
It says
But
may.
it does say may be advertised. It doesn't
there are
say
still
must
positions.
be advertised. So the council can today, as they're moving forward, can resolve to advertise the position if that's council's desire.
I suppose we need to know how many positions would be available.
well, we'll only find out by advertising. Find out.
Well, we don't, because we don't seem to have a number or an exact number of the committee, because there are no apologies from the last meeting, except for the one that had one member sending another member as a proxy.
And can I say, look, at best, these people are going to attend one meeting, before the new council,
In June.
So,
one, if at all.
Look, it's
So?
not about, I hear what you're saying, Councillor Larda, but it's not about now and the next 4 months. It's about setting a precedent or setting the process to go about it correctly. And in light of that, I couldn't agree more. I think we need to advertise for the position, whether it be for this council or the next council. We've set up a process to go about it correctly. And like, while I hear the options of appointing someone who puts in an expression of interest, I think if someone has done that, it's only fair to see if there's anybody else in the community who has a reasonable expectation of putting in a nomination. So, anyway, look, I'm not going to die in a ditch over this one. I just think that, we need to make up our mind once and for all how we're going to go about it. Now, there's a recommendation there. It was moved and seconded by Councillor Hayes and Councillor Larda. There has now been a change of mind, by councillor Larter as to the situation. So are you still prepared to continue with the proposal with the inclusion of 3, which I think was the weather station? Is that correct?
And changing to re-seek applications to become
And,
member.
Are you happy to proceed down that path?
Can I just,
Are you, councillor?
can I seek clarification on that point 3 though? Explore the opportunities for the installation at whose expense?
Well, what I'm saying is that there's a recommendation, and I think we shouldn't sit on our hands and not do it, given the risk that we have. But we should also try and include in the heads of agreement, which is what I spoke to the
Yes,
general manager.
absolutely. That's
But that doesn't mention that in there and
It's an option, councillor Thompson, you know.
It says explore the
General manager knows what
opportunities
he's
for the
doing.
installation of a weather station at Tumut Airstrip. If I'm not mistaken, we've explored the opportunities. There is an opportunity. This is the amount of money it takes, and this is where the money's coming from. Would that be a reasonable expectation of item 3? It would be in my mind. I'm not going to vote on something that doesn't explore the whole potential of installing a weather station. You know, to me, we're going to explore it. So yes, there is an opportunity. 2, this is what it's going to cost. And 3, this is where the money's coming from, right? When you come back with a report. Councillor Ivel?
I would expect that part of that head of agency's briefing with the general manager should include that, because that would form part of the new fire control centre. They would need to have a weather station there to be able to do their business. So it's probably included in that. So you need to make sure that, one, it's not, and if it isn't, it should be included in there.
Yeah, well, it is-
The reason
it
why
is
I
a-
mentioned it was because the heads of agreement came out before the coronial report came out. So I think it needs to be added in.
Absolutely.
So what are you going to suggest? That it be
I think that's a
included as an
perfect-
issue?
that's
Well,
perfect.
look, how about we find out a bit about it first?
Well, that's
If
what it
necessary,
says,
bring
explore.
bring a report back to council, because
The business.
if we're going to change the heads of agreement, I probably need to bring that back to council too.
Well, talk to them, see whether they're happy with it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've sent an email up already.
If they're going to add it in, it's fine.
Forest Corp will want the same.
They're already.
You'd be crazy if you didn't.
That's right.
Righto, so as I said,
That's
do
fine.
you want to highlight the fact of those 3 points, or is it a given?
No.
If you believe it's a given, I'm happy with that, but we've clarified the point of what we're doing by exploring the opportunities.
That's fine.
Very good. Now, do I have a seconder? I've got a mover. Is there a seconder? 3. Now, is that councillor Hayes? Does that include item 2?
Seek expression of interest to become members.
Yep, you're happy?
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
That's what
okay.
I asked for.
Righto, it's been moved and seconded by councillor Hayes, seconded by councillor Larder.
Yeah, council.
Any further debate?
We're doing them separately?
No.
Do you want to do with them separately?
I thought we'd moved it.
No.
Okay.
No.
If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Did someone identify when councillor Armour attended the council
I'd like
meeting?
to.
Yes.
Very good, thank you very much indeed.
No, were you against that?
It's not
Yes,
unanimous.
I'm against it.
Didn't vote.
Councillor Thompson against. Councillor Armour? You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Is that better? My apologies. I
Were
don't-
you in favour or against that motion?
My question is, am I entitled to vote when I've come in late?
Yes,
Yes.
you
I
are.
am.
If you're in the room,
Okay.
you vote.
So, I'm for it, okay?
Very good. Righto. 12.4,
Moved.
moved by councillor Hayes, seconded by councillor Ivel. Any discussion?
Nope.
I will just highlight that there is an item in there regarding the use of the land, which we are investigating at present, so. If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Mr. General Manager, there is no committee of the whole, is that correct? No confidential?
Correct, Mr Mayor?
If there's no one else has any further business, I'll put declare the meeting closed and thank everybody for their attendance. Now, I do believe that we have a presentation from Telstra in regard to communications and connectivity in Snowy Valleys Council, and that is at 4 o'clock. Is that
Well,
correct?
they're in the building.
Well, why don't we get them in?
I'll go
there
and
now?
see if they're available and anyone